Hello and welcome. We are back to discuss the $500 to $5,000 challenge that I'm doing on Sorare. There has been a lot going on behind the scenes for my squad here that I am excited to share. I did not have an opportunity to get some of this info out there while it was happening. So here we are, but my team looks a lot different than where it was a little bit ago. So first, let's just recap what happened last week with my New York City FC stack. I'm going to share my Sorare data here. Okay, so the guys played okay. Actually, New York City FC won 2-0 against I can't remember, Santos in Guatemala, I believe. Especially their defenders scored really well because they had the ball up front quite a bit, and so the defenders were putting in long balls into the box a lot, which is a good thing for Sorare scoring. And so I had a decent week here with Chanel, a pretty good week with Cayenne's, Sean Johnson. Like, this is exactly what we were hoping for when we were talking about how this team could score. And then Maxi Morales had a great all-around game, 24 points. He just didn't get that decisive. He had a shot that doinked the crossbar 2 times. I shit you not. I've never seen this happen before. He hit the underside of the crossbar, then the ball was spinning, and it came and hit the other underside of the crossbar. So that felt like a run bad there. That would have been a significant boon there. 25 more points, and obviously with the bonus, 20% more than 25 as well. So that could have, raised us quite a bit. And then Diego Rubio did not score a goal. Colorado played like absolute ass in that game. They set up to play in Honduras like they were playing against Bayern Munich. They were like playing with 10 men behind the ball, and Diego Rubio was completely isolated up top by himself. So that was depressing, and that kind of killed our week. So we ended up with a tier 3 limited there. We were 33 points away from a tier 2 limited, and then 60 points away from a tier 1 limited. So if Maxi Morales would have scored that goal, that double doinked, we probably would have been in the tier 2 limited category, but then Diego Rubio killed us. The one thing that sucked is that Tati Castellanos scored both of New York City's goals and scored near 100 points, I think, on this slate. And that is the player that we were talking about that really, to complete this stack, we were going to need. And it came to fruition. It was pretty sad. And so it made me kind of think about this stack a little bit differently. Like, how often am I going to have a good enough week with the other guys, and then Tati Castellanos doesn't score or smash points wise? And it's probably not very often. So that made me a little bit nervous about the stack. Let's look at the reward I got. So I ended up getting this defender. He was a Champ Europe defender, Savilic. He was worth $6. I sold him right away. So that's that on the reward side. So after the games, I was looking at the prices of the players. Spoiler alert, you're going to see here that I've sold almost all of them. I was looking at the prices of the players, and it just feels like they were getting a little out of control from a price perspective. So let's see, Sean Johnson I bought for $180, and when I was looking at his price, he was like $350 on the market, which is near double what we paid for him, and that felt kind of ridiculous. So I started to look into his price chart a little bit to see, like, is this a sustainable price for him? Is this a peak for him, perhaps? So let's just I'll show you what happened there if I can get Sorare data to load here. I think I just clicked to wait, which I do not want. Apologies. Riveting content. Exit. All right. So here we go. Sean Johnson's price chart. It's because my Sorare account apparently disconnected there. Yeah, so if we look at his limited price chart over the course of 6 months here, it looks like a roller coaster that has not come down yet. We are on the upper end of the roller coaster right now, and so it feels like these prices, like here's where I bought and here's where I sold. It feels like these prices are kind of wacko right now. MLS in general is just really, really ramping up. And so I'm kind of wondering if just MLS guys in general were overpriced. I also didn't love where the stack was. I also had made a decent amount of profit off the stack as just a as just a trading budget essentially. And so I decided it was going to be time to move on from these New York City FC guys. So I went and sold them all. I did end up making profit on all of them. I sold Johnson for $337. I sold where did I sell these guys? I sold Chanel for a profit, I know. Yeah, $22. I traded Rubio for this guy here, sold him for 45 when I bought Rubio for 26, and I also got this guy in that trade, so sold him for $30 when I bought Rubio for 26, which feels really good. That Diego Rubio cards turned out to be a big profit turner for me. And then I sold Cayennes, I sold Morales at near doubles there. So, we made really good profit on those cards just because MLS is a little wacky right now. And with limited cards, I'm gonna try and remain as nimble as possible with my lineups. Like a lot of people sit on cards for a long time. They become attached to them. They think that their potential is there. That's the reason they bought them, and so when they go up in value, they don't want to sell them. I am the opposite. If I feel like I've made enough profit on a card, I'm very happy to move them on and move into something else. So initially, when I restructured, I thought that Seattle looked a little bit too cheap comparatively to New York City FC. They're very similar teams, right? Favorites to win MLS this year, favorites to go far in the CONCACAF Champions League. And so I was like, okay, I could sell Sean Johnson for a pretty good profit here and then just use that profit or use that and reinvest in Stephen Fry, who is a little bit cheaper. And I did do that initially, and I bought Stephen Fry for almost $300. And I was looking again, and I was like, this is crazy. These MLS guys don't score well enough for the way that their prices are going right now. Like, if you look at his price chart as well, obviously he's a weird one because he was injured last year, so kind of ignore this area here. But once again, we're like on the very upper end of the roller coaster for Stephen Fry, and it feels like once MLS season gets in, I wonder if these guys' prices are going down. Apparently, Sorare Data and StreamYard cannot run on my computer together. So then I was like, oh shit, I bought the Seattle stack. I bought some defenders from Seattle. I bought Roldan as their midfielder, and I was looking to pick up Jordan Morris as the forward. And I was like, these guys are also too expensive. Is there a team somewhere where I could buy some players for cheaper who are going to do essentially the same thing that the New York City FC stack and the Seattle stack would do for me. And I was like, it's got to be in a league that's either ending soon, which has its own problems, obviously, because I couldn't play them long term, or in a league that has already started and maybe the hype is gone a little bit. And so I was like, why don't we take a look at the Mexican teams that are in CONCACAF Champions League, because they have a lot of the same advantages as the Seattle New York City FC, right? They have the midweek games with the CONCACAF Champions League. They're probably favorites in their league because they made Champions League. Liga MX and MLS are similar in that, like, there's no truly dominant teams, not like an Ajax in Netherlands or something like that. And so so there's a lot of players that you can use in there. And when the summer comes around and all those dominant European teams are out, then you've bought some of the best guys for the summer. I also wanted to leave myself some ETH balance left over because I am on the verge of a Champion Asia team as well in limited. I'm for the first part of this challenge, I think that what I want to do is just build out as many squads as I can, basically, from my initial $500 balance, and then let those start to churn out rewards, and then start to withdraw and sell and whatever to try to get to this $5,000 goal. So I was like, where's a cheap team? Let's look at this Mexico. Let's look at Mexico, the teams that are in CONCACAF Champions League. So the only team that's in CONCACAF Champions League that is on the platform for Sorare, it was Pumas. So I was like, okay, what did Pumas look like? What is their goalkeeper price? So their goalkeeper is Alfredo Talavera, and he is 39 years old. That is very old, obviously, for a soccer player. I don't care about that at all, actually. I want to use him for a short period of time here. And so the fact that he's 39, as long as he's the locked-in starter, I don't really care. So, and then I looked at their price graph. So here is where Liga MX started. And he was getting up into like 0.7. I bought him for about 0.65. Obviously, like, not a huge difference there, but compared to the MLS guys who are 0.09, 0.1, I sold Sean Johnson for like 0.13, I think. This is quite the bargain. And score-wise, he's very similar to Sean Johnson, right? Like 50s pretty regularly. And then I was like, okay, can I build out a stack with this Pumas team? Like, do they have a guy who crushes enough? So defensively, I decided it didn't really matter that much. Obviously, we would love to have this guy, 60-pointer, but he is not on the platform. So that sucks, obviously. But I think that, defender, as long as the defender is scoring like in the mid to upper 40s regularly, when their team has a clean sheet, they're probably going to be just fine. And so this guy, Nicolas Ferreira, who's also very cheap, he has a decent all-around game. He's not as great all-around as like Cayen's was, I would say. He's maybe like a 10-point all-around kind of guy. But on weeks where they have been like really dominant, either defensively or even offensively, he's started to push into these like 70 scores. And at, $20, that felt like a deal to me. So I did end up picking him up for 24. I picked up Talavera for 180.75. Then they have this interesting guy here. He's suspended this weekend, it looks like. But Alan Mozo is a pretty wild variant scorer, I think. So let's look at this game here. I think it looks like he might get red cards occasionally or something. Yeah. So he conceded a penalty. He has some. He looks like a kind of rational or a rash player a little bit, but as you can see, he has 100-point game when they went and dominated Toluca 5-0, and then he got an assist against Saprissa. So when they are on the front foot, when they are attacking quite a bit, it seems like Alan Mozo is very involved. And I watched their game against Saprissa, and he's not like really playing like a traditional fullback role. Actually, he's cutting inside and receiving the ball like in central positions quite a bit. And so in games where Pumas dominates, which is, the the thing we're aiming for anyway, right? By building a stack of them, like we're aiming for those weeks where they're the one of the top teams scoring on the platform. Alan Mozo looks like he could be a huge scorer, and so I picked him up for, let's see, $20, cheap as well, right? Because we were looking at like Arriaga for Seattle, who's 52. We were looking at Tolo for Seattle, who's 44. So these guys are way cheaper. And then they have a midfielder who's an absolute smasher, very similar player to Maxi Morales to me. Looks like a all over the ball, regular kind of assister kind of guy. Builds up, 30, 20 all around scores on the regular. So just a, solid captain every week kind of guy. And I picked him up for 108.97, whereas I sold Morales for 204. So the price discrepancy on these MLS to Liga MX guys right now is just wild. So I think that staying out of MLS guys until the season starts is probably the way I'm gonna go here, and hope that once the season starts, those prices start to go back down, and I can pick up some value guys in the MLS. And then I just got their starting forward. Forward is a position that really doesn't matter that much on Sorare. I mean, you can get guys who are smashers in forward positions, but it's pretty rare. You're really just looking for a guy who scores goals on occasion. He looks like lately he's a little bit of a starter risk, but I think he was injured here for a couple of games, and then he came back in a bench role. Didn't play that well here. It looks like he was sat maybe on a bench just to get form and fitness back, and prepare for their midweek game. And then he scored a goal in that Saprissa game, and he just looks like I watched him. He's a prototypical center forward, back to goal kind of player. And so when he scores, we're going to be fine. And when he doesn't, we're going to, have trouble. So that is my new America squad. So after I got done building that squad, and I had a significant amount of money left over from selling all my Global All-Star or my NYCFC guys on, I decided, all right, let's see if we can get an Asia squad that is that could be competitive. So for this week in particular, I just went and built out a stack with my U23 goalkeeper that I bought, Guang Yang, that we talked about in the last video. He had a couple of 50-point type of defenders with him on Gangwon FC. So I went and bought those two guys. Here, I'll just show you my gallery. So we have Guangyan from Gangwon, and then very similar sounding there. And then I just grabbed the two center defenders here who are 50-pointers. So I got Kim Young Bin. Let's go to just my limiteds. I got Kim Young Bin and Lim Chae Min, two 50-point machines. And if they have a clean sheet, then they're more like a 60-point machine. And then I wanted to get a nice forward in a nice underpriced forward in Champion Asia, and I went after Hiroshi Kiyotake. The reason I decided to go after Hiroshi Kiyotake is I used the scout tool here. I set myself a budget. This is something I do to find players quite often, so I'll just give an example here. I went to the scout tool, find a player. I'm looking for a Champion Asia forward, and what I really want in a forward is a guy who has a decent enough all around game that he, when he scores goals, he has like 70, 80 point upside rather than just straight 60s. Because a lot of forwards, it's like they score goals or you're completely screwed. And so I set myself a budget. I think at the time it was like 0.02. And I went to these tools over the past 40 games just to open this up. But I want a guy who scores at least like 7 to 8 all around per game in the last 40. I like to use last 40. A lot of people use last 5 and last 15. They're the ones that show up on the site, and so that drives prices crazy. I usually want guys who have played at least 60% of the games just to open it up so that guys who have long-term injuries can get into the pool, and then make sure it's unlimited. And I just search and see if I can find anybody that was in there, right? So this guy right now is showing up, Edgar Silva for Daegu. Looks like he could be a decent buy at his current price of 0.0195. I'd have to research him a little bit more. But when I did this, Kiyotake showed up, and he has scores. It's pretty regular, like 15-point-ish games on the all-around scores, and then he scores goals on occasion. He actually plays midfield for Cerezo Osaka. He just has a forward card, which can be a nice kind of player to have because midfielders have higher upside in all-around scores. So yeah, he's 7, 8, 15, 17, 7. This was last night, actually. He scored a goal. 7, 7, 25, 16, right? So this is a guy who, for a forward, has a really good all-around game, and then he does occasionally get a decisive. Obviously, he gets decisives less often than other forwards who are true goal scorers because he plays midfield. And then I wanted to see if there was someone else on the team that I could just pair with him so that, when they play in the same week, if there's somebody who smashes. And this guy, Hiroaki Akuno, popped up as, a 60 point per game scorer, basically my Lionel Lopez, my Maxi Morales, and his price was quite fair at the time at $58. So his price has gone up a little bit, but still available for a pretty good price there. And so that allowed me to play this week. And so I have a lineup this week, game week. It is Lee Guangyan, who we don't know if he's starting yet. We will find out tonight at 9:00. This lineup is dead, obviously, if he is not starting. And then we have his 2 center defenders, and these two did pretty well. He had a nice all-around game, just no decisive. I don't know how to check the. Oh, okay, there we go. Yeah, he had a nice all-around game, 15.6, just no decisive, which is how it goes sometimes. And then Kiyotake scored a goal and a little 7-point all-arounder. So I think that this team is probably live to sort of compete for a tier 2 limited. More likely probably going to get a tier 3 limited as long as as long as Lee Guangyan starts, but we just trickle those $6 players, $5 players, and you sell them on, and eventually, you're talking about $100 instead of $6. So we'll take those tier 3 limiteds and keep aiming for tier 0s in Global All-Star, because on the weeks where someone here goes nuts, right? Let's say he was 100 points and he hit his 70, and then we get 180 from these guys. Now we're at a 350, right? And that brings us closer to like tier 1 limiteds. And if we got insanely lucky and had 400 points, that brings us closer to a tier 0 limited. And I still believe that I don't want to cap too much of my upside of the rewards I can win when I only have one team to put in. I want to be able to win the Hollands. I want to be able to win Mbappe's. So I got all of those guys into the team, and now we are still trying to sell on my Tolo and my Arriaga. Those are the 2 Seattle Sounders that I bought, that I decided I didn't want to play anymore because MLS prices are just a little wacko. And so right now I have $74 to spend. Hopefully when I sell Tolo and Arriaga, I will have more like 150-ish to spend. And at that point, I think I'm going to try and get another Asian goalkeeper, because the one I played this week is actually going to be my U23 goalkeeper when everything is rocking and rolling in a week or two. And so I'm kind of scouting out an Asian goalkeeper right now. I actually, for this process, I'm just going to use the player rankings for Asia and see if there's just somebody in here that is priced too low. This guy, I think this guy I was looking is retired or something. That's why his price is insanely low. This guy is no longer the starter. This one looked like an option, although I think that this price is probably a little high for me. So this guy is Keisuke Osako's main competition, and you'll remember I bought Keisuke Osako to play as my U23 goalkeeper, and then I sold him on because I was like, his price is getting really high, and I'm not 100% sure he's going to start. And you will see that this 39-year-old goalkeeper started in front of their 22-year-old goalkeeper yesterday. So he might actually be the play once I get the budget with selling Tolo and Arriaga, because I'm pretty sure I remember Sam Fries had a decent sort of defender stack that I could build out with him. Yeah, so Sasaki and either one of these guys would be fine. Back threes are really good for Sorare scoring, because usually that means the team likes to keep the ball, and especially they do a lot of sideways passes in between their center backs, and so they score decent. So I will be looking at Sam Fries with Hayashi probably as my Asia squad, but that will be in a video later this week, I assume. Okay, so that is where the team stands right now. Let's go back to my gallery, and I'll just show you what I got for limiteds. I'm also actually in the process of just trying to sell out of basically all of my cards except for limiteds, and just kind of starting over with this challenge from the bottom, because it seems fun to me, and I've made enough profit on the other cards that I would rather just kind of take a step back, I think. So right now we have Talavera, we have Guangyan as our goalkeepers. So those are the two lineups we have right now, U23 and an America or Global All-Star type lineup. As I mentioned, I'm going to try and add that Asia to have some choice between if I want to play Talavera in Global All-Star or America, and then if I want to play that Sam Fries lineup in Asia or in Global All-Star. So that'll be interesting content, I think, to make decisions with. Here are all my defenders. I'm selling these two, but This is my U23 stack, my Asia guys, although I'm probably going to sell these two to do that San Free stack. And then these are my Pumas guys, midfielders, two sort of smashers, and then my U23 hopeful. I do maybe need to upgrade this spot with Kaio because I was reading that he is having some visa problems getting into Canada right now, and so he may not be ready to go for the first week of MLS. So keeping an eye on that. And these are my forwards. Vancouver plays on the same team as Kaio, Diber Caicedo, Pumas, and my Cerezo guy. Okay, so now let's go ahead and build our team for next week and decide where we're gonna play it. So we have the 22nd through the 25th coming up. This is a team I built in the past, obviously. So in Global All-Star, the only thing we have available is our Pumas stack. We're going to sell those Sounders guys, so I'm not going to worry about them. Okay. And then the question is, who do we want to captain? So Pumas is playing Saprissa at home. They drew away at Saprissa 2-2. It was a pretty wide open game. I don't expect it to be that way in Mexico. Usually when Liga MX teams play anyone in CONCACAF Champions League, including MLS teams at home, they completely dominate the ball. They just absolutely control matches usually. And I'm kind of wondering if I want to captain Alan Mozo. We saw that he had that 100-point game in a 5-0 win, whereas Leonel Lopez seems more just like a straight 60-point guy. Like his decisive upside actually looked a little less than I had hoped. So like here, let's see, what did he do here? He has an assist. So let's see, a decisive once every, looks like here he was kind of a bench warmer. A decisive once every like 5-ish games, although he did go on a 2-game streak here. Yeah, it's really it's going to be a tough one. I think I should probably captain him. He's a little bit safer from an all-around perspective. Mozo would be the play to try and access the absolute ceiling, but I still think that Lopez could like be a 90-pointer, and then we're going to want to captain him. And then, so what we're looking for here, obviously 60 points, 60 to 100 points, 60-ish points. So let's just say best case scenario, this guy scores like 80, 60, 60. So we're at 200 at this point. Our captain scores 90 plus our 25%, 25% of 90. So what is he, like 115? So now we're at 315, and then we need this guy to score 85 to get to 400. Obviously, like there's some room with the bonuses on the cards there, but it's once again a huge goal to get to 400 points, but I do think it's possible, especially in a game that I expect Pumas to dominate so thoroughly. And then we're looking at that tier 0, and the pool should be very similar to the last time we aimed for the tier 0, because it's a very similar sort of slate of games. We've got Champions League, Conference League, CONCACAF Champions League. So let's look at it. Tier details, star, the big boys. So yeah, this is definitely where we're going to play. I'm fairly certain. Let's just make sure that that match wise, we're not like punting it off by not playing America. Okay, so Pumas is going to be a big favorite here. Seattle's going to be a huge favorite here. Obviously, people are going to play huge Seattle stacks in America. Not very many Cruz Azul cards on the platform. Don't need to worry about that too much. Santos Laguna is playing Montreal in Montreal. I actually think that Montreal has a decent shot at that game. So I misspoke earlier when I said that that Pumas was the only team that was on the platform that is Mexican in the Champions League. Santos Laguna is also in there, but Santos Laguna has been playing pretty bad. New York City is going to be a pretty big favorite at home. I think that New York City might rotate guys in this game as well, since they got a 2-0 away win. So that could be a little sketchy. Club Leon, not very many players on the platform. And then Colorado is going to be a favorite, not a huge favorite, against Comunicaciones at home. I think that the Seattle stacks have a decent chance at beating me. I think that a Pumas stack has an okay chance at beating me if they have different players. Obviously, some maybe like another huge scoring midfielder here. I noticed they had one Bergerio. So I think I'm going to go global all-star here. I do think it's actually closer than the last time, because I do kind of have the best available, one of the best available teams, it looks like, in Champion America. Let's look at the Champion America prize pool real quick. So there's about 1,500 people entered. Obviously, there's a lot of days to go. I would expect that to climb significantly. Let's look at the star limiteds. Yeah, just again, I think there's just like too many stinkers in here. Like, I don't want to win Walker Zimmerman. I don't want to win João Victor. I don't really want to win Everson. I'm not really that interested in Matt Turner, even Gustavo Bo, definitely not. So like, I don't really want Hani Mukhtar. It's just not enough guys that really get me excited. Whereas obviously the all-star pool also includes these guys too, right? So I think we're just going for all-star again. All right. So with that done, I believe we are wrapping it up here. So this video was a little bit rushed because I've been doing a lot of stuff this week, but haven't had time to make videos on what was going on how I was trading in and out of the team. In the future, I hope to be able to, when I'm making trades like that, when I'm making decisions like that, kind of do a quick live update like these, and just give you an idea of how I'm thinking, and maybe, you know, share your thoughts on like if I'm making the right moves. Obviously, a lot of people disagree with this approach very much, like trading in and out of players. I think it's much safer to play the game by you know, building your team and kind of playing them every week and waiting for their best weeks. I am restless. I like to mess around with stuff, so that is also a draw to moving in and out of players. And then obviously it allowed me to build more teams than I had before. So that is going to wrap it up for me. If you enjoyed the video, please hit like, please hit subscribe. I will try and do a lot of these live ones, so that if you want to come in and chop it up with me, I'm available here. But really, I'm just doing it so I can easily upload it to my YouTube and not have to take up too much space on my computer. So once again, if you enjoyed, please like, subscribe, and I will see you on the next one.